Good afternoon, everyone, including esteemed guests. I'm Ryan from the Catalyst Collective with our tagline, Empowering Youth, Rewriting Narratives. With me here today is my teammates, Keith and Hafiza. Mental health conditions do not exist. It's all in the mind. These are the comments I heard from my teachers in my secondary school. I was bullied and ostracized by my peers and developed depression and anxiety. After 4 years, I was ultimately denied an education. If only one person had stepped in, I would have been saved. When you look at the jovial me, did your perspective change after listening to my narrative? So, let's put my personal story aside for now. Let's talk about data, let's talk about numbers. We Singaporeans love our numbers. 63% of our youth has a negative perception of the mental health landscape in Singapore right now. Less than half also feels that the current initiatives in place are effective in reducing stigma. 2/3 have also indicated that they experience burnout when trying to support their peers. Overall, as many as 1 in 2 have mentioned that they are currently struggling with their mental health. So, using an analogy, the peer supporters help their peers. But when the peer supporters break down, who helps the peer supporters? There's a growing need to develop a culture of empathy in our youth. Therefore, is there a way to revitalize the kampong spirit and create a supportive environment from the ground up where every youth gets to be supported in times of crisis? Therefore, the Catalyst is a collective that hopes to build a community that can empower our youth to actively lead change in the mental health scene. To do so, we are doing through 2 clusters. The Inspiration Cluster, which focuses on the power of narratives, and the Empowerment Cluster, which focuses on activating the power of the masses. This is our grand vision for the next 3 to 5 years. We are using a parent company approach, in the sense that we are using a multi-pronged approach when tackling mental health challenges. So, like I mentioned earlier, the Inspiration Clusters will then focus on launching projects that can engage the community and also launching our own media content to engage the youth as well. On the other hand, the Empowerment Cluster will act similarly to the YAC, and in fact, even the What's Your Take Youth edition from MOE, where we want to create that ecosystem where every youth can lead their initiatives within their schools. Last but not least, we want to have a framework that we will develop with our partners to help train and raise awareness in our students. Of course, if you notice, there's something highlighted in blue. That is our game entity that we're currently developing as a social enterprise, where we focus on raising awareness and normalizing mental health. So, while we're still a ground-up initiative, we still desire to become a non-profit in the next few years. The game entity, however, will be developed as a social enterprise. Therefore, for the first 2 years, we'll be relying on grants. However, we'll gradually monetize our product offerings and services while also generating revenue from game sales and merchandise. Next. Okay, so this is the current traction that we already have. We already have done a few projects. We are already collaborating with CNA, MediaCorp, and we're also doing some prototype projects such as Rewriting Narratives, which is done tomorrow with Ming Xiu over there. We also have a game prototype that's being done by my game entity, and also even a podcast prototype with SG Exams. We also have been conducting annual surveys in our youth for the past 2 years. So, we see ourselves as community builders, someone that's trying to build an ecosystem. Therefore, apart from these strategic partners, we also have informal partnerships with the Temasek Shophouse as well. SUTD has also indicated interest in working with us, and even the Mind Cafe yesterday has agreed to work with us on a project that we're excited about. We're currently also in talks with Ground Up Central and Project Green Ribbon on a potential partnership, and even last Wednesday we met Dr. Malaki Osman. We're actually discussing on potential partnerships as well with MOE. So, this is our competitor analysis. Our unique selling point is being youth-centric and using a multi-pronged approach when tackling mental health conditions. However, the beauty of the mental health scene is that rather than competition, you're inviting collaboration. And as someone that's trying to position ourselves as an ecosystem, we wish to achieve greater impact by collaborating with all these organizations on board, including our strategic partners. Okay, so this is our timeline. So our timeline for this year will be focusing on launching the Inspiration Cluster, expanding the core team, establishing the volunteer network, and also launching Keystone Summits, not just for youths, but also for our partners. This is our measure of success, which is quite straightforward. We hope to launch different projects and initiatives this year. We hope to also have physical events. And last but not least, we wish that 65% of our attendees have a positive outlook towards mental health, be it their own mental well-being or the landscape that they're currently facing in Singapore. So due to time constraint, I will just skip through the themes. So go to the last slide. Okay. So although we have an ambitious vision, we believe we have the right team members to pull this off. Therefore, what we wish to ask for is the maximum grant available to help us pull off our events and initiatives. Most of this funding will be used for marketing and events. Okay, to end off, I wish to see a society where no one has to struggle alone in the darkness ever again. I wish to see a society where every youth gets to flourish without hiding beneath the shadow of stigma. But alone, I can't change the world. But with your help, we can sow the seeds of hope and make that happen. Therefore, join me, join us in writing the mental health narrative together. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that powerful ending. So on to the judges for the Q&A.
Thank you for the presentation. I think I understand your project to be one that is heavily based on medium, your use of media, but I don't see how the use of media will make the young people change makers.
Okay, so we're not actually just using use of media. So we're actually trying to form an ecosystem. So this, the entire thing, unlike most of the teams, that focuses on a specific project, we are focusing on developing a collective that can launch multiple projects. Media is just one of them. We hope to launch different projects. So one of the projects that we have discussed with the Mind Cafe recently is to do a board games night, which compromises our mental health programs, so that we can get youth to not only just listen to inspiring narratives, but also get to network with other youths as well. So we are hoping to incorporate different techniques when it comes to engaging youth. So human libraries, Tree of Hope is another project that we're working on as well, where we want to build a tree in each and every school for every youth to put their messages on top of it. So we have a lot of exciting projects going on, just that we're focusing one by one over time. So media is just one of them, but there's multiple projects on board as well.
Okay, thank you. And just one last question from me. Your profile, your target audience is the ITE youths.
Youth that's going to school from secondary schools to university.
Oh, so it's not focusing on ITE youths?
No, I don't think I wrote that down actually. I actually wrote youth going to all.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
okay, then no more question from me. Thank you.
Yeah, I find that I was a bit struggling because as I to understand your solution, because you said to build an ecosystem, but it's events based. But how are these connected, right? And how do I know it's part of a broader objective or goal?
Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's something that I didn't.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I didn't make it clear. So we're actually trying to do so through the empowerment cluster and through our partners that we get on board. So we wish to basically think of it as like how YC works as well. For example, let's say School A wants to do their initiative. They want to sustain it within their schools. School B also wants to do their initiative. Is there a way we can make School A and School B collaborate with each other? Is there a way to bring partners such as yourselves involved as well in their projects to make it more sustainable, to make it more robust? So like I said, I think the Catalyst Collective approach is a bit more multi-pronged, but when it comes to building the ecosystem, I think by trying to get the partners on board and try to do out the empowerment cluster and establishing our presence in each and different schools, we hope to slowly reach to that goal. May not necessarily be within the first 2 years, but we hope to eventually reach to that goal.
I think my question and also curiosity is very tough. You're all students. How to find time to do this? All right. I think that's one concern. It's not really I think that's always one concern, I think, especially for students running these projects. And I can see definitely you're very aspirational and you have very clear plans as well. Help us understand a little bit, right? I think you do have quite a comprehensive quarter of sorts. What is it that you're really anchoring on for this first quarter first? And what will success look like? What will success look like to you?
Just for the first quarter or for the first year?
I think for the first quarter on what is your focus, and then maybe perhaps I think in the interest of time also, like what is your success? What does success look like for all of you at the end of this whole
Okay,
initiative?
so I think thankfully the first quarter is really just like a lull period in a sense. So we are waiting for CNA and MediaCorp to launch the collaboration projects on February actually. So we're actually very excited. We're also doing the prototype event tomorrow, tomorrow as well. So to us, the success is really trying to gain initial traction and presence and using the collaboration opportunities with CNA and MediaCorp to basically get our name out there. So that's number one. Number two, I think the success is you can get more people on board with the core team as well, because like what you mentioned, all of us are students, so it's going to be difficult, especially in the long run, to fully sustain it. That's why we wish to expand the core team and also actually implement a volunteer network system as well to help out with the initiatives that we are running. So the first quarter will be trying to establish a proper traction, I would say. That's how I phrase it. For the entire timeline, we will be trying to so-called stabilize and launch the Inspiration Clusters projects. So like Project Dice World is the board game event that I was talking about. Currently, Mind Cafe is on board. Changing Minds is also on board. So we're trying to find out what's the best way to of course, reach out to these youths. So that's why Dr. Malaki was quite interested as well. So we're trying to see, is there a way to penetrate through schools as well? So I think basically overall, just in the interest of time, we are basically trying to publicize our events first before slowly leading up towards the empowerment cluster. But this is why we also have keynote summits as well to help gather every youth involved to mention like what is their hopes for the future for the mental health landscape. And of course the partner summit, which long story short, because how fragmented the mental health scene is in Singapore, we wish to get every partner on board to this summit so we can discuss what is the potential plans we can do in the future moving forward. Is there room for collaboration? Is there any other challenges we can tackle on? Yeah.